Tell me, is your business happy to pay a subscription fee to install Windows Server security patches without rebooting? Let's discuss this and a couple of more important updates from the Microsoft licensing world in May 2025. I'm Alexander Gorev from SAMexpert, where we help organizations optimize the costs of Microsoft licensing and cloud. Windows Server hot patching is a long-awaited feature. With hot patching, you don't need to reboot your service to apply security patches and other software fixes. It means less downtime. It means that mission-critical servers may continue running during updates. If there's a vital security update, you don't need to wait until the weekend to protect your business from bad actors. But it comes at a price, $1.50 per core per month, which doesn't seem like a massive sum, but it translates to $1,152 per year for a 60-core server. For comparison, the licenses for Windows Server Standard for the same server cost about $4,700, depending on your price list. And that is for a perpetual option, or approximately $3,000 a year as a subscription, with all the subscription benefits, bells and whistles. So we're talking about an over 30% cost increase. Again, let me repeat this, 30% cost increase just for the benefit of only having to reboot the server once a quarter. Let me make one thing very clear before you jump to conclusion. There is no rollback on security. If you don't pay for this feature, if you don't pay for hot patching, you still get access to all the updates at the same time as its subscribers. The only difference is the downtime and the necessity to delay updates until weekends. Obviously, the news caused quite a bit of controversy and a whole storm of comments on social media. Hot patching is effectively just a cost. The feature is included in the code. It's sitting on your hard drive. It doesn't cost extra to Microsoft. There is no infrastructure requirement from the Microsoft side to support hot patching. But on the other hand, the concept of paying to enable a built-in feature is not foreign to licensing. Microsoft did not invent it yesterday. A client access license, for example, is simply a fee. There's not even a line of code. Oracle database features are always present and enabled. You only need a license if you use them. And by the way, if you use them inadvertently, you will probably be hit by a massive audit bill. And even regarding hot patching fees, Microsoft isn't alone. There are other companies doing the same. My Linux friends told me that Ubuntu charges for hot patching. It will be fascinating to watch the market adoption of hot patching, assuming Microsoft will be willing to disclose the numbers, which they often don't. If you want to keep your hand on the pulse, please consider subscribing to our mailing list. You'll find the link in the description to this video. And speaking of numbers, what is the relative effect on Microsoft budgets in a typical enterprise? In 2025, total on-premises server software amounts to about 10% of an average enterprise budget. Windows Server is somewhere between 6 and 7%. Therefore, the potential effect on budgets is somewhere between 1 and 2%. While it may be substantial in absolute numbers, it probably won't shift the needle in the negotiation centered around Azure commitments and Microsoft 365 discounts. Still, there are clever ways you can leverage this change. Personally, as someone who's been around Microsoft for a good part of 30 years, over 30 years, I don't like the price, and I don't like the approach. I don't think that hot patching justifies a 30% cost increase on Windows Server Standard, and about an 8% relative increase on Windows Server Data Center, especially considering that Microsoft has just recently already raised the price on the base licenses by 10%. Unless there's a market uproar and pressure from the end clients on Microsoft to reconsider this, we'll probably have to face the choice between installing updates the traditional way, it's still available, or paying the premium for hot patching. So here is our expert advice. First of all, begin preparations with a discussion with your IT about the real, measurable benefits of hot patching in your circumstances. Then wait until the finalized terms are published. When the terms are published and you know the formulas, calculate the costs. Your software asset management department, assuming that you have it, should be able to do it very easily. Again, assuming they have an up-to-date inventory of servers. If you establish that you need hot patching and the benefits justify the cost, don't just order the licenses or add it to your renewal quote. Wait. We expect this feature to become a so-called scorecard item for Microsoft sales reps, something they are handsomely rewarded for. If you can, hold off the purchase and don't just accept it being added to your bill of materials by Microsoft. Inform your IT. Very critically, inform your IT not to discuss it with their Microsoft contacts. Don't show them your cards. Even if the monetary value can be relatively small compared to other licenses, leveraging a scorecard item may help you negotiate additional concessions or discounts, even on other products. Who is the most affected by the change? Enterprises with mission-critical, always-on applications running on-premises or dedicated hardware and data centers. And I'm talking about manufacturing, banks, mutual funds, stock trading. The second group is software as a services providers with their own or rented dedicated hardware. Those who utilize self-hosting licenses. And the third category is software development houses. If you're not on this list, it doesn't mean you won't be affected, so assess your situation carefully. Others and just regular organizations with less than 5,000 users should perhaps focus on another significant update: the 3-year Microsoft 365 subscriptions in CSP. At the end of 2024, Microsoft announced the intent to even more actively push clients from traditional enterprise agreements to modern licensing, namely CSP and MCA. And yes, it's already happening. We're witnessing active, albeit not aggressive, efforts from the Microsoft sales teams to make it happen. There are, however, many obstacles to that switch. CSP is not an evolution of the enterprise agreement, as Microsoft tries to spin it. One of the core differences is that the enterprise agreement still provides better price protection than CSP. Plus, until very recently, organizations switching from EA to CSP could not retain their legacy Microsoft 365 subscriptions with Teams. I remind you that a year ago, Microsoft decoupled Teams from Microsoft 365 due to the pressure from the EU, and then they made it worldwide, so maybe not due to the pressure from the EU. And bringing Teams back, together with new stripped Microsoft 365 plans, increases the overall cost. When an organization switches from one agreement to another, it's technically seen as a new subscription, and all the new subscriptions come only without Teams. And of course, Microsoft is listening, and they're trying to ease the switch. The problem with keeping Teams was rectified in April. Now, CSP partners can flag a subscription as a continuation of the previous subscription. But there's more. From June 2025, organizations will be able to order 3-year subscriptions for Microsoft 365 E3 and E5 in CSP, which wasn't previously possible. And that includes subscriptions with Teams and without Teams. Plus, the following are coming in July: Microsoft Teams Enterprise, Microsoft 365 E5 Security, and Microsoft 365 E5 Compliance. What's not on this list is Microsoft Teams EEA for Europe, but probably it's just an omission in the Microsoft's blog post. For many, it will ease the transition from an enterprise agreement to CSP. The only known caveat is there's a minimum of 100 licenses per plan. You can't mix and match. You can't acquire 50 licenses of E5 and 50 licenses of E3. It must be a single line item with 100 licenses. Why is this update important? 3-year subscriptions provide a 3-year price protection, like in an enterprise agreement, but not exactly. I'll get back to that. Additional licenses that you order during the subscription term come at the initial price, so they are unaffected by regular price hikes somewhere in the middle of those 3 years. Importantly, though, this is not the only fix that is required to the CSP and MCA programs. For example, unlike in the enterprise agreement, there is no annual downsizing option, and prices are subject to currency fluctuations. However, the switch is getting easier, and considering that more and more organizations are becoming cloud-only, some of the downsides of CSP are getting less and less relevant. Our actionable advice on this news. First of all, remember that CSP and MCAE are fundamentally different from an enterprise agreement. Almost nothing is the same. So be vigilant and question everything if anyone actively pushes you off from an enterprise agreement towards CSP or MCAE. Don't just trust empty promises. Thoroughly assess the switch. Ideally, gather 3 perspectives. The first one is internal, with assessing risks and benefits. The second perspective is from Microsoft or your Microsoft partner. But please remember that their agenda is to sell, and get a third perspective from an independent advisor that is not a Microsoft partner. If you decide to do the switch, either from an enterprise agreement to CSP or from your existing CSP subscriptions to 3-year subscriptions, don't forget to get written, not verbal, written assurances that you can keep your plans with Teams. If that is impossible, negotiate a concession or a discount. But remember that discounts offered to soften the price increase caused by the switch, they won't last. Next time, you'll have to negotiate from full price. If you want an independent opinion about your particular situation, book a call with us. And if you want to learn more about the problems switching from EA to CSP, here's a video we recorded almost 3 years ago. Some things have changed, but the majority of the issues are still pretty relevant. And it's a pretty well-edited video as well, so I hope you'll enjoy watching it. And I'll see you soon on SAMexpert TV.